Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Destiny and I'm happy to welcome you to this awesome series in my channel where I'll be showing you how to make a fully functional authentication system, also known as login system, using a Python web framework popularly known as Django to achieve this. So before we actually take a full review of what we'll be building in this series, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing videos on my channel. So without any further ado, let's get started. So this is the website I will be building in today's video, and it's a fully functional authentication system that was made with Django. So let me just go ahead and show you all that you can do with this. First of all, you can create an account or login. So let's say I want to create an account, and you get your form over here and create a new account. Okay, let's say I want to create an account as Destiny. Okay, I think that user already exists. Let's just create a new account. Let's say I'm creating an account as Tom, and put an email there, tom@gmail.com, and I want to put a password too, and confirm the password and sign up. So it says a user with the username already exists. Okay, let's just use a small, or let's say team like this, and let's put in the password, sign up, and as you can see, it says, "Hi team, your account has been successfully created." Now it's redirected you to the login page where you can log in with the new account information, so credentials that you just created. So I want to log in as team, and let's see how this works. So when you log in, as you can see, it's welcomed you here, welcome team, and now the create and the login button, they are no longer here. Now you have the profile and logout. You can as well come over to your profile, and we have a very dummy profile over here which just displays your name and your email address, and you could as well log out from here, and it shows you have been logged out, log in again. And when you click on that, it actually takes you back to the login page. You can as well log in again if you want, and as you can see, it's logged in. So you can just log out, and let's log in as a new user, someone else. And as you can see, now it says welcome Desfix, and when you come over to profile, now it's Desfix and no longer team with the email address, and you can as well log out. So this is actually what we'll be building in this series, and I hope you enjoy it. So without wasting any more time, let's just get started. So first of all, you want to open up your command prompt on any system that you're working on. I'm working on the Windows. If you're on a Mac, then you open up the terminal. So on your command prompt, there are few things that we have to do here. First of all, we have to create a new folder where all our projects and apps will be stored. Then in that folder, we have to create a virtual environment, then install Django into the virtual environment, and after that we have to create a new project, then create an app. And that's pretty much all we'll be doing with the command prompt. So let's not waste any more time and get started. So to create a new folder, all you have to do is use this command mkdir, which is make directory. And what should we name it? Let's name it auth system, that's authentication system, and hit enter. Now you have to come into that folder, and that's just by hitting cd. Cd is to go into the folder. Then let's say auth system. Now as you can see, we are inside the folder now. Then in this folder, that's where I want to make my virtual environment. So in order to make a virtual environment on Windows, it's as easy as just hitting out pi -m, then venv, like that. Then the next argument that they should take is what you want the name of a virtual environment to be. In my case, I want the name of a virtual environment to also be venv. And take note, you can name this anything. You could name this let's say auth system project or a virtual environment. You could just name it anything, but I'll just stick to naming conventions and name this venv and hit enter. And let's give this some couple seconds to load up. And as you can see, the virtual environment has been successfully created. The next thing you want to do is activate it. So on Windows, it's as easy as saying venv /script, and take notes. The S for the script is a capital letter S /activate.bat. And if you're on a Mac, just check the description below. There you'll get how to install a new virtual environment for Mac and how to activate it for Mac. So if you're on Windows, you could just follow along. This is how you do it. But if you're on Mac, check out my description box below to see how you could run yours on Mac. So this is how you activate it. First of all, you put in the name of your virtual environment. In my case, it's venv, then /script with the capital letter S, then activate.bat, and hit enter. As you can see, the virtual environment has been activated. Now what I want to do in here is install Django into the virtual environment. And you may ask, what am I using virtual environment to do? If you're new to Django, virtual environment is used to create an isolated development server. That's what I can think of right now. Like, it creates isolated projects for you. So in order to install Django here, it's as easy as saying pip install Django, and make sure you are connected to the internet. So let me just connect to the internet here. So after connecting to the internet, what you want to do is just hit pip install Django and hit enter on your keyboard, and let's just give this a few seconds to properly install on our PC. So as you can see, this successfully installed. The next thing I want to install is one more package, and that's crispy forms. And in order to do that, just hit pip install Django _crispy _forms, and let's just give this a couple seconds again to install properly, and it's already done installing. So from here, let's actually see if our Django installed correctly, and just hit Django-admin. So it's properly installed. Now the next thing I want to do is create a project, and in order to create a project, we'll be using this command over here which says start project to do that. So just hit Django-admin start projects. Then the next argument should be what you want the name of your project to be. In my case, let's just name that Auth system project. Okay, authentication system project, and hit enter. So as you can see, the project was successfully created. If you hit dir on your keyboard, then you see it's created a new folder here with Auth system projects. Now the next thing I want to do is start a app, and in order to start an app, what you have to do is hit python manage.py start app, then the name of your app. Okay, I want to name my app users, but if you hit enter now, this is not going to work because you're not in your project folder first before making this app. So you actually have to go into this auth projects folder before we make this app. Okay, let me just hit enter and show you that it won't work. So hit enter, and as you can see, it says error, no such file in directory. So let's just cd into auth projects. Okay, now we're in the project. You could just hit the up arrow on your keyboard and hit enter. Now let's see, and as you can see, it works. Now if you hit dir, you can see that we have manage.py, we also have auth, and we have a users folder. So I think that's all we have to do with our command prompt. We could just go ahead and open up whatever code editor that we'll be using. You could use the Visual Studio Code, you could use the Sublime Text, but in my case, I'll be using the PyCharm IDE. I really enjoy using that. So just open up the PyCharm IDE, and I want to come over here and open up the folder that we just created. So let me just come over here and see what that was called. So it was called Auth system, and this is it over here, Auth system. Click on it and open. So I want to open it on this Windows over here. Okay, everything working fine now. The first thing I want to show you guys is we have an app here already with the name of users, and before this app actually works, we have to configure it in the settings.py, and you might not know what this actually does, but just follow along the way we do all this. With time, you should get familiar with the way all the basic things in Django work. So let's go over to the settings.py and install this app that we created, this app users. So in order to install the app, you want to open up your projects folder, which is this one, then open up settings.py and scroll down a bit to where it said installed apps. And in down here, I want to just make a comment, and let's just name this own. So this is actually my own apps, and I want to install the users app. And before you install users app, you want to come over here in the users app folder, and let's open up apps.py. So when apps.py is opened up, double click on this users config, and let's copy it, come back to the settings.py, and let's actually install our apps now. So in order to do that, first of all, you have to put in the name of the app, users.apps. Then you paste in what you copied, which is users config. So users.apps.userconfig. And most importantly, don't forget to put a comma over here, because if this comma isn't here, you'll get a lot of errors and it's kind of hard to debug. So make sure there's always a comma here when you install new apps. And if you remember, there is another package that we installed, which was Crispy Forms. So we also have to come over here and install Crispy Forms, and that should just go in as crispy_forms. And don't forget to add a comma. So that's all we have to do for the settings.py for now. Let's just go ahead and close this up and close the apps up. So the next thing I want to do is see if everything works fine with our URLs, our views, and pretty much that should be it. So first of all, let's open up our views.py. So in this views.py, we want to import HTTP response, and HTTP response is a simple package I think the Django has that helps you render very basic HTML templates from your views.py. So let's say from Django.html import HTTP response. So with the HTTP response, what I want to do here is define a function of home, and the home should inherit from a request. So just do this that we did over here. We defined a function of home. So this is how functions have been defined in Python, with def, then parentheses, then pass in request into the parentheses, and make sure that there is a semicolon at the back of everything over here, then hit enter. So the next thing we want to do is return HTTP response that we installed earlier, and we want to just pass in some basic HTML code in here. So I want to open up h1 tags and close it up. h1, hopefully you should know how to work with HTML by now. And in here I want to just put home. So home, and that's all we should do for the views.py. The next thing I want to do is configure our URLs. So in order to configure our URLs, first of all, you want to open up the URLs that's in the project folder, which is this one over here. So double click on this and it opens up. The first thing I want to do here is add include here, so that we can include other parts of the URL that we'll create earlier, that we'll create later in this video. So just come over here, add a comma, then you want to type in include. So with that being done, let's create a new path for that and include the new urls.py file that we'll create in just a second. So in here you want to give an empty string, and what this empty string does is this would actually be our home page. When it's empty, that would be our home page, like this very home. Okay, nothing is going to show up here, so this is going to be our home page. But let's say we have something like register. Okay, let me get the spelling of that, register. So this won't be a home page. You have to go to /register before you see this, and if you don't understand, it's totally fine. You should get what all this does in the later videos in the series. So just leave an empty string here, and here you want to include, let's include, and open up some parentheses. Then you want to include users.urls. And that's pretty much all I want to do here. Copy this all the way to this place, and I want to right click. Oh, sorry for that. I want to right click and click on copy. So right click, click on copy, and you want to come over to the users app and create a new, right click and create a new Python file over here, and let's name that urls, that's urls.py, and hit enter. So in the new Python file that we just created, then paste in what we copied from here into the new file. This is it. So here we have to make some few changes to it, and the first one, we have to get rid of the include that we imported earlier. We have to get rid of this and this, And that's all we have to do. So let's create a new URL for our site. Now you have to use path, open up parentheses and leave it as an empty string, because that's going to be our homepage, and you'll soon understand what this does in some minutes. So in here you want to do views.home. And why are we using views.home? Why? And that's because we actually defined home function in our views.py, so that's why we're actually trying to connect it here in the URLs. But this is actually showing an error here. And why is that happening? And that's because we haven't imported these views into the URLs. So to do that, just hit from .import views, and it should be successfully imported by now. So I think that's pretty much all we need to do here. Let's now head over to our terminal and let's run a development server. And in order to do that, you want to cd into the project folder, which is auth projects. Now cd into auth projects, and in here you want to run a development server. And in order to do that, just hit python manage.py run server. So when this is open, as you can see, it started a development server at port 8000. So if you click on this link, it should take you to a URL in your default homepage, in your default browser. So this is my default browser, Chrome, and this is what it opens up, home. And this home that's opened up here is the home that we have over here. So let's say I want to say something like this is my home page, and come over here and refresh. So as you can see, it updates. This is my home page. So whatever you pass in here is what's going to show here. And all this happened by creating a function, then return HTTP response. Take notes, this is a very basic response that I'll be using. Like, this is a very basic way of doing this. So after we defined a function home, we returned the HTTP response, passed in this h1 tags over here. Then we actually came over to our urls.py, created a new part, left this empty, then views.home. So let me explain what this empty string does over here. Now if you take notes, at port 8000, that's our home page. But let's say I wanted this to be something like home slash, okay, let's not use home, let's use something like, okay, let's just leave it at home. So home slash, if you come over here and refresh, you shouldn't see anything again. You should see page not found, and that's because this is actually in home slash. Before you access this over here, you have to come over to home slash, and let me just show you how to do that. Now in the URL slash home slash, now as you can see, this is my home page. So whatever you put in here, that's what you get here. Okay, let's say home slash let's say about slash, okay, let's just add a slash over here, slash. And when you refresh these, you shouldn't get anything over here. You should get a page not found. But when you come over to slash about, now this is where it's located. So whatever you put here, that's where you should locate it in your URL. As simple as that. But now I want to just leave this as an empty string so I can locate it at my home here. So hopefully you understood everything here. Then the last thing I want to do here is add a name to this that I'll be using for the URL link in later in this video. So let's just add a name and let's name this home. Okay, with this bit done, I think that's pretty much all we have to do for here. Let's come over here and close this up, and we could just leave this open. So I told you earlier that this HTTP response is a very basic way of doing this. And what's the advanced way of doing it? We actually have to use this render that was imported from Django.shortcuts here. And in order to do that, let's just get rid of all this over here, then create render. Then in this render, first of all, you want to pass in a request as the first argument. Then the next argument you want to pass in is your template name. And I know this might sound confusing, but just have some patience and we'll explain what all this does in a minute. So your template name should be in users/home.html. So this is all you have to do here in order to use the render that was imported from Django.shortcut. So the next thing you want to do is create a template. And how do you create a template? So let me explain this. We still have our URLs over here, and we removed the HTTP response and replaced it with render, passed in a request and passed in where we want where our template would be. So if you come over here and refresh, we should actually get an error, and it says templates does not exist at slash. So now it's looking for a template that has the name of home.html that's in a users folder, and let's just go ahead and do that. So in here, in this users folder, you want to right click and create a new directory, and let's name this templates, and make sure the spelling is correct, templates. And in the templates folder, you want to create a new folder again, and let's name that users. I know it's kind of weird, but this is how it's actually done. And in here, you want to create some new HTML file, and let's name this home.html. So if you remember, we had an error here which says templates doesn't exist, but in here now, let's come over here and open up a h1 tag, and let's say this is my home page, and come over here and refresh. So we still get template does not exist at slash users slash home. And why is that not working yet? So that's because, okay, so actually what I had to do was stop the development server and rerun it again for this to actually take for this to actually refresh fully, and it shows this is my home page. So now we don't have to make any HTML templates in here, but now whatever we make in here is going to show up here. For example, let's just duplicate this and let's give it a p tag, and in this p tag, let's say I want to give it like an a tag or something, and let's name this explore. So here, as you can see, we have a link now that says explore, and this is like a very basic website, and everything that we're gonna be doing to this website would actually be stored in this home.html template. So let's just go ahead and continue with everything that we want to do here and get rid of all this. Now we have a blank page over here. So the next thing we want to do is make a home page that looks exactly like what you saw at the beginning of this video, and that will feel very boring for you guys to watch me code all those out. So I actually did that before this video, and it's right here in base.html. And take note, I provided all the code that I use in this video in the link in description below. Just check out my GitHub and you get them. So in base.html, you just want to grab this code over here, copy it, and let's paste it over here. So I already worked on all this, and take notes, you could tweak these, do anything you want to do with it. I just made this totally for you guys. So when this is done, the next thing you want to do over here is configure some things like the load static. What does this do? And things like this over here, what does this do? So I'll make sure I explain all this in a bit. So let's just go ahead and continue doing what we want to do. So after you put in this one over here, let's come over to our website and refresh. Now, as you can see, we have a very basic website here that has a navbar and these dummy buttons that don't actually work now. And why are these not working yet? That's because we don't have CSS installed yet. Then let's go ahead and put in our CSS in here. So in order to install your CSS, in the users folder again, right click and create a new directory, and let's name this static. So the static folder is where all our images and CSS would be stored, and inside the static folder you want to right click and create a new folder again, and let's name this users. So in the users folder is actually where we're going to be storing our CSS and images, just the way we did it for the template. We stored our home.html in the users. So in here, just create a new folder, a new file, and let's name this main.css. So this is where we'll be adding all our CSS files in this main.css. So let's just come over here and grab the CSS file. It's in main.css. Ctrl A, Ctrl C, copy, and let's come over here and paste all the CSS. As you can see, this is a long line of code for the CSS, so I won't actually type this out in this tutorial. That's why I had to make all this before actually shooting this video. So The next thing we want to do now is link the CSS with our homepage. But before that, there is something I want to do. Now, our homepage is supposed to contain things like maybe the body of the website and not the navigation bar. And that's because the navigation bar is something that would actually appear in almost all the pages of the website. Then whereas the home page appears, let's say, in one place, there can be a home page, there can be an about page, a profile page, but there will only be one navigation bar. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying, but if you don't, let's just go ahead and implement this. So what I want to do is come over here and create a new HTML file, and let's name this base.html. Come over to home. I want to cut all this code over here, cut all this code, then I want to just paste it in here in base.html. Now if you come over here and refresh, we actually see nothing again, everything is gone. Now what we want to do over here is actually extend from this base.html, because it's actually this base.html that has our navigation bar and that has a code block where our main website's body would actually be displayed on. So we want to extend from this base.html. And how do you extend? Let's just go ahead and implement that. Come over to home.html and you want to open up a new code block. So this new code block over here should have extends, and take notes now, there's nothing showing up here, but when you extend, then open up a string and let's say users slash, and we extend it from base.html. So when you do this, come over here and refresh. As you can see, we got everything back again, very easy. But when this line of code wasn't here, it's not here. So with just one line of code, we actually brought in all these 59 lines of code into here with just one line of code. Hopefully you understand what this does. So as you can see, it's here right now, but when it's not here, there's nothing here. So just with this one line of code, we actually got something up and running. Now we have to define a home page for our website, and after we define a home page and get the home page properly running, then we configure our CSS files. So in order to define a home page, it's very easy. What you want to do is come over here and let's open up a code block, and I'll explain what all this type of code does. And let's end block over here, end block. So let me just explain what this does. Now what this does is any code that's in here, that's what's going to show up here. Let's just come over here and hit a H1. Let's say hello, and as you can see, hello is showing up here, but it's in a dark color and the background is dark, so it won't show up. As you can see, hello is showing up here, and that's because it's in between these code blocks. But okay, let's say it's below this. As you can see, it won't show here. Like, what that signifies is like this H1 tag is not at home. So if it wants to get home, then it should be in between the block content and the end block content. And let's just paste it in there, and as you can see, it's back here. But we won't actually be using these. Let's get rid of these and just grab the home templates that I'll be using, which is actually this one over here. So just come over here and let's grab these and paste it in here and fix the indentation. Let's fix the indentation. So I think it's done. When we come over here and refresh, now we get invalid block tag on line 4 static expected end block, or did you forget to load this tag? So when you see did you forget to load this tag, that's maybe because you actually forgot to load static, which I showed you earlier here. So if this static wasn't here, our base.html won't work. Now let's just copy the static over here and paste it in here and see if we still get this error. As you can see, we don't get the error, and now we have some dummy files here. As you can see them because there's a dark background, and we'll take care of that in just a minute. So with all this being done, as you can see, we have our navigation bar, we have our home.html. Then let's go ahead and configure our CSS. So in order to configure your CSS, first of all, you want to open up the settings.py, and below all the codes over here, let's just type out static files and take note of your spelling. So static files underscore there's which is directories. Then we want to open up a list. So this list should have os.path.join and open up a parentheses. Then we want to go back to our base directory and look for a folder named static. So this is what I want to do here. And if you take a look at the OS here, it has a red line under it, which signifies that there's an error. So let's see what the error says. It says unresolved reference OS. So let's just go ahead and fix that. At the below, above all the codes where it says from pathlib import path, you want to import, sorry for that, you want to import OS. So with OS being imported, as you can see, the error is gone. And I think that's pretty much what you have to do for the settings.py. Just come over here, write down this code, static files underscore theirs, static files underscore theirs equal to a list. Then in the list, it should take os.path.join, then go back to the base directory and look for a folder named static. So with this being done, I think that's all we want to do here. We can go ahead and close this up. And here in the home.html, we have to fix some things. And as you can see here, href is actually where we want to look for the style sheet, which is the CSS. And in this href, if you're familiar with HTML, normally it's supposed to be done like this: main.css. That means your CSS is in a main.css file, but it's not supposed to be done like that here, because the CSS file is in a whole lot of folders before it actually met the main file. First of all, it's in the users app folder, then it's in the static folder, it's in the users folder, then it's in a CSS folder. Actually, there's supposed to be a CSS folder here. So let's just come over here and create a new directory, and let's name this CSS. So put in this main.css in here. So this is where the CSS folder is supposed to be, home. Now let's just come over here and put in this block of code. So I open the code block, then define static, hold the folder here, open the string, then pass in where the main.css is. So in my case, it's in css/main.css. the CSS over here /main.css. So I'm not really sure if this is gonna work yet, but let's go ahead and check what we have. So when we refresh, as you can see, it's totally worked. Now, as you can see, we have everything completely working, all this in place already, our logo and all this being arranged, and it's also responsive. Yeah, you could check that out. So with this being done, I think we are pretty much done with our CSS, and the next thing I want to do is go ahead and start making the register page, the login page, the logouts, the profile, and pretty much all that. So that's pretty much it for this video. In the next video, we'll go ahead and start making the main authentication system, like making the register page, the login page, the logout page, the profile page, and that should pretty much be it. And I hope I'll see you in the video. And if you did enjoy this one, please do not forget to drop a like on this video, and also consider subscribing to stay updated with future videos. And I hope I'll see you in the next video. Bye.